Welcome back to another one of Nathan Bell's Centurion series of commentary videos. We're going all the way to 100. Give it a like, give it a share, and today Nathan wants to talk to you about psychiatry.
Well, about psychiatry, look, I'm not going to say that we should completely abolish the industry of psychiatry. That would be a silly thing to say. There's definitely a role for psychiatrists in the world. People do have mental instability, and some people do need medication. So there's a role for this authority in our society to act when people need support. But I do have a number of problems with psychiatry as an industry, and like what you might say is their ideology or their perspective. They use terms like agitated. I don't like that term because that can be applied when a person who is suffering due to traumatic experiences in their life can be displaying agitated symptoms of frustration which are valid from a valid place of suffering, and then a doctor can just say, oh, you're displaying agitated symptoms, take some medication and stay in the psych ward for a month, and we're going to force you to take this medication without acknowledging that this person has experienced traumatic scenarios which have caused psychological damage. So and they have other terms like this which deny the realities of people's lived experience, So as an industry, I've looked at psychiatry extensively, and what I want to say is they deny lived experience. It's about depression, right? Because I'm going to be real with you, as someone who is very poor, very badly depressed and suicidal and stuff, probably they do need medication to lift their mood, otherwise they may harm themselves, and nobody wants to live in a state of suffering. But what I say ultimately, personally, is I'm not going to take antidepressants because my view is the world is a shithole. I've studied the world extensively. I know the world is full of war and violence and rape and abuse and manipulation and cheating and lying. There's lots to be depressed about. Why wouldn't you be depressed? Now, I believe in being positive and happy as well, but I'm a real realist. I'm into war and conflict and brutality and studying violence. So I say, what's there to be happy about? It's such a delusion. I say psychiatry exists in a delusion. They want to come to you when you're frustrated about your life. They want to come to you when you're frustrated about the world and the things that are hurting you and the emotion and the things that cause you emotional damage. And they want to say, here, take this pill and be happy. What's there to be happy about? I know people who've gone to doctors and said, I was beat up. Doctor doesn't acknowledge that that's valid. They just go, hey, take some pills. I've gone to doctors and said, my house was broken into about 8 years ago, and I had a saxophone stolen, I had a camera stolen, I had a boombox stolen, had all this stuff stolen, and only a year before that I'd been assaulted 3 times, and had a precious laptop with media projects I was working on it stolen from me. Now you go and you say this to a psychiatrist, you say, people have ripped me off, I've been stolen from, I'm suffering here because terrible things have happened in my life which have upset me, and it's like I view them as psychopaths. It's like they've got no capacity for empathy at all. They're stuck in this take the pill and be happy mentality, and they deny that you have any right to express suffering or to express frustration or anger. I say there's lots to be angry about. I am a very angry man, right? And if a doctor wants to say to me, you have an anger disorder, I'm not going to accept that. I do not have a disorder of anger. I have experienced suffering and trauma, and people have stolen from me and abused me and taken advantage of me. And in response, I am very frustrated, angry, and bitter about people in this world. So it is not a disorder. I feel this way because life has made me feel this way. So this is the problem with psychiatry, is they won't acknowledge that people have a right to express suffering and to feel suffering, and they want to cram these happy pills down your throat which don't change your life circumstances. So I'm sick of the industry I've been writing to the government about it, expressing that I think it's all rubbish and they need to be held account for how they're damaging our society. But it's a cultural phenomenon in Australia. It's the attitude of what have you got to whinge about, and it's a psychopathic mentality, and it's a mentality that lacks empathy. But it's this attitude of it's the same thing as a woman can go to go to the police and say I was raped. And she can be crying and upset that she was raped, and the police say, "Oh, we'll put up with it," And this is an attitude in our country. It's, you go to someone and you say, "I was stolen from. This happened, that happened, whatever various terrible things happen," and they just say, put up with it. And I view it as a form of psychopathy or a lack of empathy. But a lot of people have this mentality where they just won't acknowledge that you have any right to feel that you have been wronged. People have a right to feel wronged when people have wronged them. So, psychiatry as an institution is ingrained in our society, enforcing a psychopathic ideology of denying that people have a right to feel upset about the things that have happened to them, and saying that everything and all agitation and all displays of frustration and emotion are simply disorders, and so it's all about conformity and security psychiatry. It's all about saying you're acting in a way which society deems is unacceptable behaviour, so we're going to medicate you until you settle down, and then we just expect you to go on. And there's no acknowledgement of the traumas that have happened. There's no acknowledgement of the circumstances. And this is this thing that is happening in this institution. And what frustrates me even more is this institution is backed up by all the laws of the Mental Health Act, and and nobody's allowed to challenge it. Nobody's allowed to say anything against it. And if you criticise psychiatry or any aspect of the health system, you get absolutely hammered by both sides of politics. It's just, I'm not satisfied with it. And I know many people who are not satisfied with it because it's dehumanising. It's a dehumanising ideology that psychiatry has. So I've been writing to the government and saying that I'm just not going to accept that it's a valid science. I deny psychiatry's science. I deny that it's a valid science. It's half a picture of what's going on. It's not a holistic view of a person. And it's dehumanising. And also the other thing I want to say is psychiatry really wants to tell you what real is. I'm into some bizarre shit like simulated universe theory, and I actually believe in some sort of God or force in the universe. That psychiatry is this atheist institution with no respect for freedom of thought at all, that wants to dictate to you what the truth is. And that frustrates me immensely because I've got some really alternative views. But, if you challenge the health system's narrative, they'll absolutely hammer you. In this country, you are not allowed to challenge the health system's narrative. So because I'm a real tough bastard, and I don't give a fuck, I'm going to challenge the health system and see if I care if they hammer me. So drop a comment in the comment section about what you think about psychiatry, and peace, guys.